Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Tackle Talk Live. I'm Ranger Diver Pro Staffer Steve Graff, along with V&M Operations Manager Kevin Jean, and we're coming to you live from the shores of Sibley Lake in Natchitoches, Louisiana. And today we got a great show set up for you guys. I think it's something that's a lot of people questioning. With all these tournament trails kicking off, what's going to happen, who's doing what. Well, today we're going to hear from the horse's mouth, Kevin.
We are straight from Marty Stone himself, from Major League Fishing, on really diving into these super tournaments they have. You know, MLF guys can go over and fish FLW, pay the entry fee, kind of what MLF has been against, the entry fee, the 5-fish limit. Well, now they're saying, hey, guys, you can go fish this to kind of get more tournaments in this year because of the virus. So just kind of wanted to see what MLF, the reasoning behind a lot of this, and, you know, just all the do's and don'ts and the behind-the-scenes stuff that MLF has had that goes into these super tournaments.
Yeah, because there's not a lot of information. There's a lot of rumors floating around out there. Who's doing what, why they're doing what they're doing. But today, again, we're going to hear direct from Marty Stone. I'm looking forward to that interview. We'll get Marty on in just a minute. We're also going to talk, once again, last week we kind of gave you an idea of what tournament trails are doing what. We'll recap a little bit of that again this week for those of you that missed us last week, because these dates have actually continued to say BASS released their Elite Series schedule and their Open Series. We'll talk about the Central Division on the Opens with that. Seeley, we'll talk about Bob Seeley real quick, what's going on with him. In the BFL Cowboy Division, which, by the way, Kev, we left that off last week.
Yes.
I couldn't believe we did that. But we'll talk about the BFL and the ABA Bass Pro Shop Open Series, Southeast Texas and the East Texas Division. We'll cover that. And we'll kind of give you a little Toledo Bend, Sam Rayburn report, what little we know. And I hadn't been over it lately, but the fishing, I know, has been on fire over there at those two, especially at Sam Rayburn. Toledo Bend's been a little off, but Sam Rayburn's been doing really well. So, Kevin, while I get Marty on the phone, tell us a little bit about our sponsor.
The Boat Shop. Mr. Raymond Kidd and his staff take great pride in keeping your boat and motor performing at its best. A certified Yamaha dealer and home of the best motor on the market today, the Yamaha Show. So stop by 2410 Sanford Avenue in Shreveport and let the Boat Shop take care of all your boating needs. Give them a call at 318-402-0399, or you can go to shreveportboatshop.com.
And on the phone, we have the man, the myth, the legend himself, Mr. Marty Stone. How you doing, Marty?
There's a lot of truth to the myth part. I agree with that. Legend, I'll absolutely disagree. As my wife said, I'm a legend in my own mind.
Well, I think all fishermen are like that, don't you?
100% agree. And I got out of it before the legend turned into reality, and it was a bad play.
Well, don't fool yourself, folks, and don't let him kid you. He was a great angler in his own right, so that's why I think he does such a great job. And Marty, I'm not just tooting your own horn for you, but you do a great job with breaking down the tournaments, the bodies of water they're on, what methods and techniques they're using. Man, I just want to say, from an angler standpoint, I appreciate that, and I appreciate your knowledge and insight.
Well, Steve, I appreciate that. You know, I'm the fortunate one here. I tell people that want to listen, you look at the 80 I get to cover, all the years I've got to cover the different anglers, and, man, every day I go to work, I get to see greatness before that day is unfolded. So for me to be able to cover those guys, I've got to be able to match their energy level, their professionalism, and I've got to bring a different aspect to the game, and they've made me get a lot better because I am covering the best in the business, in my opinion, and they deserve the very best I've got to give them. So it's hours upon hours of research that goes behind it. It probably doesn't show, but I take great pride in being able to do it the right way.
Well, and as a guy like myself, I've been doing this for 13 years with different shows, and I can tell you, it's not an easy job to break down events. And again, I think having your knowledge and your background as an angler is what makes you able to relate to those guys so well. And again, you don't ask dumb questions that somebody that doesn't know the sport would ask, and I think it's why it's so appealing and so fun to watch.
And having you and JT together I really enjoy. Y'all can bounce off one another, and JT has some wild ideas, but y'all do a great job of asking questions, like Steve was saying, that the fishermen are wanting to know, and we sure appreciate all you guys do.
Yeah, we really do.
Kevin, that's kind of you to say. I tell you, I give Randy White, our executive producer, all the credit. When we got ready to launch this thing, and he said, I've got the perfect three. And he told me about Chad McKee probably about 5 years ago. And I'm like, yeah, right, whatever. And then he called me one day. He said, what do you think about JT Kinney? I said, man, I fished around him a lot, been near him. I know he likes Miller Lite. He's a little off-center a little bit. But, if y'all are crazy enough to try it, I will too. And then I'll never forget the first time I ever met Chad McKee. And he knows zero about fishing. And the beauty of him is he admits it. But
yeah.
I've never seen anybody embrace a sport like he does. He's the voice of a lot of the Oklahoma sports. But I'm saying all that to say this. Randy had the perfect blend. We needed a professional voice. That's Chad McKee. We needed somebody a little bit left to center. That's absolutely JT Kinney. And then I laugh at JT and Chad. They say I'm the moral voice on this show, and I'm like, boys, we're in trouble. That's the case. But we three have so much fun together. I mean, we truly enjoy getting on the set and being around each other. Now, I hate Chad. He's so good and so smooth. I'm like, dude, would you just make a mistake?
Yeah.
And he's getting better and better. And JT and myself, we jokingly have said, the last 30 minutes of these events, we've learned for us two buffoons to shut up and let him call it professionally. That's what our sport has always missed. We've never had a true professional voice and a sound to it. We do now. Yeah.
And, when you got a guy like that, it kind of makes the other two look better. And but again, it's y'all's knowledge.
We needed that.
Well, let's kick this thing off. Let's go ahead and talk about it because I know it's out there. The MLF and FLW combining for the super tournament format. Marty, give us your perspective.
Well, before we dive into that, Marty, so this is the FLW finishing their season.
That's right.
And you're just they are allowing the MLF pros to enter their events if they choose, correct?
Yes, sir. You're spot on. So, Kevin, it's a good point you make there. As we at Major League Fishing and our Bass Pro Tour events, what a lot of people don't realize is we have a pretty rigid schedule. We're under constraints of Discovery Channel programming. So at the end of our events, as good as the live is, the end product of that live event has to be a Discovery Channel show. And when we ran out all the scenarios that we had, we ran out of time. It's not that anglers don't want to fish more Bass Pro Tour events. It's not that we don't want them to fish more. We just ran out of time between when we could film them and then produce them and meet our deadline that Discovery Channel's got. So we're looking at how could we give our anglers more opportunity, and how could we possibly join the two brands and come out with something that helped both. I mean, the FLW Pro Circuit, and people that know me know that I have a fondness for FLW. I mean, I've grew up fishing those events forever. I still back home fish the BFLs and things like that. But when we were looking at this and kicking it off, we're like, all right, how can we find more opportunities for our Bass Pro Tour anglers to go during these economic hardships? And then one of the ideas that seemed to gain momentum, and trust me, we tried 100 different ideas, and their TV constraints, they have a longer filming window. We're like, why don't we combine the two forces? Because in 2 years, we're going to bring the best 10 out of the FLW Pro Circuit, and they're going to be our newest 10. And every year moving forward, we're bringing 10 anglers from there. This is a perfect opportunity to blend them. So we had to meet with the anglers on Major League Fishing at the Bass Pro Tour, and we had to meet with the anglers at FLW. And we had to get everybody's approval. And the funny part about this was the anglers at FLW were overwhelmingly in favor of it. And I joked with some of our guys. I said, boys, here's what this is code for. They're glad you're showing up. They're glad you're bringing your pocketbook. They're glad you're increasing their payout, and they're going to be glad to whip your tail given an opportunity.
Right, right.
And, man, these guys have got a chance. When I look at this FLW Pro Circuit, and I'm looking at some of these young kids like a Dylan Hayes or a Gray Buck or the Matt Beckers, Sprinsel Sheffield, Miles Burkhoff, all these guys, Nick Broom, man, they've got an opportunity to go prove to the world what they already know. And, and that is they're good enough. The world just doesn't know about them yet.
Yeah,
I would agree with that there, Marty. Now, if y'all are giving the MLF guys the option, and I think it's May 15th, is that correct, or somewhere around there?
Yes, sir.
So what do y'all have a roundabout number, or how many of those guys you think are going to take that option and fish MLF? I mean, the FLW.
Yeah, and Kevin, this is nothing that the league has told me. This is just my gut, and after me doing a straw poll, I really believe there'll be somewhere between 50 and 60 of our guys that show up. And it could be higher, but I'll be shocked if there's any less than 50, and I won't be shocked if there's more than 60 show up. I mean, man, when you look at the payouts, I know back in the day, if I had a chance to fish 3 events, and if I just made a check in 2 of them, I made my entry fee back, and then some, I'm all in.
Right.
Not to mention, in today's environment, one of the biggest things an angler can do for a sponsor is get him airtime. Well, these circuits, these FLW Pro circuits that we're going to do, the super tournaments, normally in FLW tournament we cover 2 days live. Now we're going to go to 4 days expanded coverage.
Now, is that going to be you guys' coverage or the regular FLW guys' coverage?
Yeah, Kevin, that's another good question. It's an FLW Pro Circuit, so the FLW Pro Circuit team will be covering that.
Okay.
The only difference in that is our group, we're going to cover the FLW Championship because it's going to be fished under a Major League Fishing format.
Correct.
Okay, so the Red Crest Cup qualifying, how is that taking place, and how does that continue for these MLF guys, or does it? Is it already kind of wrapped up?
No, Steve. So we've got 2 more events to go on the Bass Pro Tour. Okay, so we've got an event coming up. Oh God, let's see, where are we at here? I've got too many events in my mind right now. We're going to We're going to Champlain. And we're going to Chickamauga.
The heavy hitters is in Kissimmee.
Heavy hitters is Kissimmee.
Yeah.
And then we're going up to Champlain. So we've got a stage 4, which is heavy hitters. And instead of just the top 30 on the big bass side, we're going to take the whole field. And I tell you what we did on that too. That payout is so big. It's over almost $800,000 in payout. And we were going to just do 30 of our anglers, but we know the economic hardship these guys are going through. So now we're going to take the whole circuit up there, still pay out the same amount of money, but everybody's going to make a paycheck all the way down to 80th place. They'll take home $4,000.
And that's a heck of a payout for the heavy hitters. I was very surprised that you guys were still able to do that, and glad too for the anglers to still be able to be offered the payout for the heavy hitters that y'all are offering.
Now, how many's in that group?
Everybody.
The whole field.
Yeah, we're fishing all 80. Kevin, I'm proud of our management team, and here's what I'm going to say about that. We had to make some hard business decisions, as everybody has during this time.
Right.
And I watched time and time again the management team, in my opinion, we made the mistake of this probably isn't a good business move today, but this is a great business move for the future. And our league and our sponsors and our partner with the Crunky Sports and Entertainment, they all agreed. What's good for today, what's not good for the day might be good for the future. And we keep putting more money into the future. 1, helping our anglers the best we can. 2, being able to provide additional content for our sponsors. And 3, this format is good. I mean, I get so fired up about heavy hitters. Let's think about this, guys. And I've said this before. That last day of the event, we're going to be watching 10 anglers. Someone's going to crack that rod, and on the end of that line, there's going to be $100,000 fish that they've not only set the hook on, they have got to land without the help of another person or a net.
Right.
And I'm going to be jacked up on the
yeah.
That's going to be $100,000. That's going to be $100,000 fish. Not to mention the winner of the event will get another $100,000. So there's a realistic possibility the guy that wins and has big fish, he just made $200,000 that one day.
Yeah.
Right.
Everything we're going through in the world right now, probably business-wise, it makes sense for us to have this tournament. But for our league and the future of it and the longevity of our anglers, it made all the sense in the world.
Was this combination, combining these two, was this more or less sponsor driven? Is this something that you're really trying to look out for the sponsors in this situation?
Steve, it was actually, I think it was more angler driven. How do we provide our guys more opportunities to fish more events? Because let's face it.
For their own sponsors as well.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Because when we let them fish more events, they have an opportunity for more TV exposure, which gets their sponsors more exposure.
Right.
Right? And we were limited on the Bass Pro Tour what we could do TV-wise. Well, the FLW Pro Circuit's got a longer window where we can film events and then take it to a TV product. And now, hopefully, with some of our guys going over there too, it also increases the live streaming numbers for those guys.
Right.
Let's face it, whether you're a fan of the FLW Pro Circuit anglers or a fan of the Bass Pro Tour anglers, or like me, you're a fan of the sport, man, I get to see a heavyweight contest here that I wasn't even expecting this year. I'm tuning in.
Yeah, exactly.
I would agree with that. Now, from the angler side here, Marty, you're putting at least 200. You're thinking to possibly up to 230 anglers on one of this magnitude, of this ability, the 230 of some of the best in the world on one body of water, especially like Wisconsin.
Yeah,
you talk about going to fish small.
Yeah, that place fishes small.
Yep, I agree with you. But here's the beauty of that, and you are 100% right. Somebody's going to win.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Somebody's
always going to win.
Now, let's think about that. Someone's going to make $125,000 and 100 places is going to make $10,000.
Right.
In this economic environment that we're in right now, if both of you two are anglers, and I was as well. When I have a rod in my hand, I feel like I've got a chance.
Right.
And there's only so many places, because what we had to do, and God bless Michael Malone and Chris Hoover. Michael Malone does a lot of our event planning, all of our event planning at Major League Fishing and Bass Pro Tours, and Chris Hoover obviously with the FLW side. Think about the challenges they had. Finding venues, places we could go, communities that were opened up, and all the different aspects that we're dealing with an environment that we don't have a boat in.
Oh, it's got to be a logistic nightmare for these guys.
Oh my God! Poor Chris Hoover. I think over at FLW, the last meeting I had, I think they've rescheduled about 90 events. I know me and Michael Malone and some others, we've tore up our schedule probably about 20. I've rewritten that schedule every week since we've shut down.
Yeah.
Of where to go and what to do, because it's not only is it a good fisheries, how does it stream?
Right.
Connectivity. I mean, we have, and when I started working with Michael Malone hand in hand, my box is, as a fisherman, because I'm one of the few on staff, is does it check the fishing box?
Absolutely.
Okay. So I've got to check that box. I'm held accountable by the anglers. Then we got this stupid thing called connectivity. Then we got another really important thing that's called activation. Then we got, next thing you know, I'm like, guys, we got 10 elements that comes into us choosing a host, or does it make sense? And then throw in the COVID-19, and to your point, you're right. It is going to fish small. It absolutely is going to fish small. But we were limited of where we could go, and man, we're grateful that we've got a partner like Lacrosse.
Right.
Said, come on.
Well, now, Marty, let's look at it from an angler standpoint. What would cause an angler, or what would go into his thinking to maybe not participate in this? I mean, what
entry fees?
Yeah, I mean, is that going back to that entry fee? I mean, what?
I've got mixed emotions on that. So let's talk about that for a second. So if I'm a Bass Pro Tour angler and I've got a chance to go represent my sponsors, and we're in an environment that none of us saw and none of us can control, and I've got to spend $15,000 in entry fee, and all I've got to do is be in the 100th place or higher 2 out of the 3 times. And now I've stayed working, I've stayed busy, I've given myself an opportunity. You know, I hope our group, our Bass Pro Tour anglers, haven't felt like this no entry fees and entitlement, because it is a privilege to fish for the kind of money we're giving away and not have an entry fee. Now, I say that to say this. Some of our more established older anglers that have unbelievable amount of sponsor obligations and had things scheduled or things to do. And this guy will probably show up knowing him. But if Kevin said, "Hey, I don't want to go do that," Kevin ain't got to show up to anything. And I'm good with it. Right.
Yeah.
So it's going to become a personal choice. But if the choice and the reason is, well, I don't think I should have to pay an entry fee.
But Kevin's the exception to the rule.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Well,
that's right. So
but stay.
If I'm a tournament fisherman, I'm going, I don't think I should pay an entry fee. Okay, but if I'm that, you know, Kevin, you guys own VNN. If you're the sponsor of that angler and he's got a choice to go or not go and get you additional exposure, somewhere in the back of your mind, you're hoping he ponies up and goes out there and does his job.
Oh, well, absolutely. Yeah. And I have talked to my anglers about that. I mean, from a sponsorship side, you want all the exposure you can get for your anglers. And of course, this, you know, the more fish they can do and hopefully, you know, be in a top 10 and get more coverage for you, the better it is for you.
Yeah.
You know, there's no doubt about that. Now, let me ask you this, though. You was talking about Kevin, like y'all have the Detroit River in Michigan on the schedule. He can't just jump in that one. They have to fish all 3 or none, correct?
Well, yes and no. So here's my understanding, though. We probably need to get some clarification. If let's use Kevin as a perfect example, and he's going to get mad at us for picking on him. Let's say that he said, you know what, I do want to do the Detroit River, but I pay all 3 of my entry fees and only show up at 1.
Oh.
We're good with that.
Okay, I got you. But he still has to pay all 3 entry fees.
All 3. They cannot cherry pick.
But that's common in a lot of circuits.
Right.
So
right.
100%. And I'm okay with that, man. If you're telling me, and I'm on the FLW side, and it's like Kevin's bringing us $15,000 of entry fees, and he's not going to show up 2 of the 3.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you right now, I am telling you this: that FLW Pro Circuit bunch is fired up, man. If we were all young anglers, and we're looking, you know, young gunslingers, and we're looking to put a notch on our belt, what a better opportunity than what they've got to bring these guys back to their house and have to fish their 5-fish limit circuit, which I think I think this is by far going to be the best 5-fish limit circuit there is. And come over there into their house, play under their rules. And now those young anglers over there, they've got everything in the world to gain and nothing to lose.
Well, you brought up a name earlier that me and Kevin are really good friends with. Matter of fact, I think he's part of Kevin's V&M team, Nick LeBrun. I mean, Nick is a great angler that's just waiting on that opportunity to get that right break. And
dude, I fell in love with him last year when I'm watching the FLW Pro Circuit over there where Bolton won.
Yes.
And he was having a good event. And people don't realize, I watch so much of the FLW side because I'm a junkie for this stuff, one. But I'm watching these younger guys that we've got over there. I mean, we all hear about the John Cox of the world. Ron Nelson's having a nice season. You got old school guys over there like Bolton and McDonald and Matt Reed.
Right.
But these young ones, man, this group of young anglers that's over there right now, it reminds me, and I hate to use these analogies, but I will. It reminds me, and I was probably the lesser, but it reminds me of when Skeet, myself, Gerald, Stephen Browning.
I agree with that.
It reminds me of that group because if you look at the history of our sport, we've had windows when there's a pile of good young anglers that seem like they come through in the same couple year class. I think the way our sport has been built with everything so high in entry fees and it's so expensive for these young anglers to get in, we lost a couple years of mass young anglers coming to us at one time. But now, because of the way we're built, Toyota Series, BFLs, FLW Pro Circuit, you think about this, a young angler 3 years removed from college, if he does his job on the Toyota Series FLW Pro Circuit. He's with us at the Bass Pro Tour fishing for all this money without entry fees. Life just got a little bit easier.
Yeah,
I think the way we've built this sport now and the way we're continuing to build in the partnership with FLW, it's allowing us to have a bigger group of young anglers coming to us at one time. And I wouldn't want to go over the FLW Pro Circuit right now and gamble my money against that bunch of slugs.
Yeah.
No,
These guys are good.
you hit the nail on the head there. That there are some young sticks over there that can absolutely catch them. They're just waiting for their break, and they are so much more in tune with the social media nowadays and everything these companies are wanting. Once they get their break, they've got the business side figured out.
Right.
Oh, Kevin, look, I remember I've shared this story with some folks in 2009 when all this hit us. I had an October time period. I had about 2 weeks where I lost about 70% of my income. And I was one of the lucky ones. And it wasn't that a sponsor didn't love me or like me or anything. It was just that was a necessity. And at that time period, social media had just started. And I'm trying to prove, hey, doing this on Facebook. And they're like, we don't even know how to give you any value for Facebook and social media.
Right.
Right.
Now, if you're a professional angler, that's not only a necessity, it's a requirement because there's true value, and these young anglers are light years ahead of it now.
Right.
Well, Marty, we actually had a guest on a few weeks ago, and he's one of the legendary pros, and I'm not going to call his name, but he was on the program, and we talked to him about he had lost probably 50% of his income for this coming year because – number one, and he was up front. He said, I'll be honest, I am not Facebook. I'm not a social media guy. He said, and I know that's where the sport's going, and they're looking for those kind of people. And I'm not one of those kind of people. So he's one of the legends of the sport that's been kind of pushed out of the sport. And I compare it to, as a former minor league baseball player, blah, blah, blah. Every sport tries to eventually push out the superstars at some point, like, okay, you're getting too old, move on.
But you got to be able to adapt and change.
You got to be able to adapt and change. But, from an athletic standpoint, it's obvious with other sports, you don't have a choice. Your athletic ability diminishes. But with fishing, Jimmy Houston's been fishing. He's in his mid-70s. Tommy Martin's in his late 70s and still competitive. And
yeah, but see, here's why I'm gonna give you a little bit different twist, and we're seeing it too. If you look over at the Bass Pro Tour, this is it's a younger sport, not only in the social media, but now you look over there at our guys right now that are really lighting it up, and I think there's a fine line, and I've said this for years. When you look at anglers that get anywhere between that 47 and 52. That's where mentally they're probably the strongest they've ever been, and their body hasn't broke down.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And they can sustain event after event after event success. But a lot of my anglers and a lot of these guys over there with us right now, when you get to be that 53 to 60, you're still good enough for that one day or that one event. But, man, I don't know if you got it in the tank to be able to keep up with a Jordan Lee or a Jacob Wheeler or a Zach Burge or a Justin Lucas. I don't know if you can do that throughout the whole season anymore. So with us having the kind of format we have and the number of events that we have now, and I'll go back to this. I'm a big fan of our no limits because I've always said with limits, I can hide bad and I'll suppress good. And with the no limits, Jack, you can't hide bad. You're either doing it or you're not, and I'm not going to suppress greatness. When I let Jacob Wheeler loose or Edwin Evers loose with the no limits, you better be able to bring them. And I don't know if our older guys can keep up with that.
So you're basically saying MLF format is definitely young angler driven?
I think the younger anglers benefit for the stamina that they have. Now, I'm not saying our older guys cannot do it.
Right.
Now, that day break, though, helps. That day off between your first round, that helps.
That's true.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. But it's just the speed. I'm blessed that I get to cover these guys in the cup, so I'm on the water with them. And I tell people all the time, and Steve, I'll use a baseball analogy that you'll understand. When you go watch a professional game of baseball, you and I can watch it on TV, and we'll see 95 and 97, and we'll watch a guy chase a slider down in the dirt and go, why did he swing it down?
Mm-hmm.
Well, until you've seen 95 to 97 in person, you didn't appreciate the speed that you're seeing on TV.
Right.
That's true.
Right.
That's true.
The speed and efficiency that I watch our anglers fish at, especially our younger ones, when I'm covering them on the cups, people can't appreciate how fast they fish and how good their decision-making ability is versus some of our older anglers. They're on another planet right now.
Well, Kevin's used the term with me before when describing Nick LeBrun, how Nick is so good at reading the water quickly.
Yep.
And
Porosnik's the same way, and you know that, Marty. When you get in the water with and I've been in the boat with all of these guys just from my business standpoint, and people like Jacob Porosnik, Nick LeBrun, when you get in the water, when you get in a boat with them, and they've never been to a body of water before, and you back it in, they're gonna say, okay, we're gonna catch them doing this on these places today, and they just go with it with confidence, knowing, and they've never been there before.
Yeah.
And I'm going to add to that, too. When they say that and it doesn't work out, instead of an hour later, it's not working out, 5 minutes later, they're on the plan B.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because they have, like, Prosnick, that's a great example. I think him and Andy Morgan are probably my best two, and I'll get heat from this one. I think him and Andy Morgan are my best two outdoorsmen. In other words,
Andy Morgan may be
deer hunting or fishing, they're good at it.
Yes.
Andy Morgan may be one of the most natural fishermen that is on that tour.
Oh, I hate him. I absolutely hate him. And I say that, Jeff. I remember the first time I ever got to see Andy Morgan. We're fishing up at Lanier in FLW, and I'm fishing boat docks. And I felt like I was at least above average as a flipper and pitcher. And I'm watching this guy coming down the docks with me on the other side. And I'm like, now, who is that? I'm like, that's pretty good. And he's flipping and pitching with his right hand. He hits a certain angle, and he goes with his left hand. He's just as freaking good. I'm like, that's not fair.
Yeah, it's like he's a switch hitter in baseball.
Except he just hits same average either side.
Exactly. Now, the next question.
Go ahead.
The next question I got. Okay, let's just throw this scenario out there, and you may not know this answer yet. Maybe too soon. Let's say there's a outbreak again of COVID-19, and baseball shut back down, football doesn't take place. What is the plan? Does that mean it's over for the year, and just probably guys get ready for 2021?
For on the baseball, for us?
Yeah, for MLF.
No. We're going to do everything in our power to get some semblance of a season in. And let's start with the Bass Pro Tour. We on the Bass Pro Tour, the way our format is, one of our knocks, and this is, we designed this from day one, is you guys well know, and you've heard it, one of the knocks is, man, you guys don't have traditional weigh-ins. No, we don't. We don't activate hardly at all at sites. We feel that the fan is more value. We're an online experience. We want you to point, click, and enjoy the day with us. Sit in a boat. We're not built to activate. Now, we're going to in the Red Crest. What we're going to do in 2021, that's another conversation. We're going to have an activation that's going to blow it out of the water. But now our weakness has become our strength. Mm-hmm. We are the perfect social distancing sport.
No doubt.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Our camera operator and our official and our angler, for the most part, are 6 foot apart at all times.
Yeah, I agree.
And for the guys that don't have a camera operator in the boat with, and it's just an official and a fisherman, they're 20 foot apart.
Yeah,
right.
You're right.
Right.
So as long as we have a very small footprint that we take to an event. We only have 40 anglers on the water at a time. That we'll carry probably 45 to 60 officials. We'll carry a very small blueprint on the operations and the marketing side, because we're not going to be doing any activation at the event. So if there was ever one sport that was absolutely made for social distancing, that's the Bass Pro Tour. Now, on the FLW Pro Circuit, we're going to have the marshals, still social distancing. They will have weigh-ins. The FLW folks are going to great lengths right now to think about all the touch points, whether it's the weigh-in, the weigh-in back, how to do this, how to bring the guys up and keep everybody apart. Mm-hmm. So I truly think unless the state itself shuts down, we're going to be able to pull off our events. And go back to this now. Look, we love each and every one of these fans. We want each and every one of them to experience it. But right now we're saying, hey, each and every one of you experience it online. That's what we're doing.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
There's going to be a day and time that this is all going to go away, and we're all going to be able to gather again. And hopefully at the Red Crest, that's going to be one of those events where the fans can truly meet their anglers. But, Steve, I truly think that the way we've planned and the way things are going, it's going to take something catastrophic for us to have to shut down this time. I think we can really pull this off.
That's good to hear.
I
good
agree
to hear.
with that. And Marty, I got two more questions for you here. One, is this let's go back to FLW. So they're still finishing their season and getting points to make the championship. So they're still getting their points, but if MLF guy finishes in between them, are they just skipping them for points or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, 100%. That's a great question. So our guys are going to be there. They're going to show. I joke and say, I said, what y'all doing is you're not getting any points and you're bringing all the money. Good. The FLW guys are going to love y'all even more.
Yeah, exactly.
So they're not going to affect the points race over there for the FLW championship at all.
Gotcha.
At all. And our guys will be done with and Steve, I don't know if I answered this question. You asked me about the points championship on the Bass Pro Tour. We will end our Red Crest qualifying at stage 5 at Champlain.
Okay.
Yeah.
We do
Good.
that event. So instead of 8 stages, our guys are going to get 5 stages, and then they're going to go fish these 3 other events over the super events over the FLW Pro Circuit, so they can get a full 8 events in. And they're actually fishing for more money in the FLW Pro Circuit than what they were on the Bass Pro Tour.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Wow.
Okay. Well, now my second question. Let's say, and I know the reason we're doing this, and you've talked about this, the COVID-19, giving the MLF guys a chance to get more tournaments in.
Yep.
Marty, if this goes over somewhat well, is this something might be explored down the road?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. This was something we've actually been talking about for 18 months.
It just gives them the say next year we've got 8 stages, but hey guys, here's the FLW schedule. If you would like to fish this as well, you're welcome to.
Yeah.
100%. That's the end goal, Kevin. The end goal is
now it makes
to
more
allow
sense here.
the
Now
guys at the Bass Pro Tour to come over and fish on the FLW Pro Circuit if they would like. From what I'm hearing, I'll probably get in trouble for saying this, but from everything I'm hearing, and I've been in trouble before, I stay there. But from what I'm hearing is, again, it won't be a case where anybody from the Bass Pro Tour can come over and cherry pick a tournament.
Right.
You're either all in or you're not.
You got to commit.
If I'm fishing on the Bass Pro Tour and one of those FLW Pro Circuits coming to Kerr Lake in North Carolina, Virginia line where I love to fish at, and I want to pay my entry for 7 events, and I'm only going to fish one, if I'm dumb enough to pay all 7 entries for 1 entry fee in the tournament, I can have at it.
Right.
But no, I think the end goal is man, we've got, I feel like, one of the best media tournaments made for TV events there is in the Bass Pro Tour. Okay. I also feel like what FLW does as well as anybody in the business is hold traditional 5-fish events. And our guys still love both.
Yeah.
Our guys being the Bass Pro Tour. And that should be one of the perks. When you have a Bass Pro Tour card, you can come fish either one. You want to fish a 5-fish tournament? Perfect. We got the FLW Pro Circuit. We've got the Toyota Series. We got the BFLs. Have at it. You like every fish counts, as long as it's a 2-pound minimum, which that's another conversation. Then if you've qualified and you're part of that top 80, then you've got that with no entry fees.
Well, we had Gary Klein on, what was it, 3 weeks ago, Kevin,
Yeah,
I think?
2 or 3 weeks
I
ago.
listened to some of that interview. That was
Well, and I'm glad you did, and we appreciate that. And I got a question I want to throw at you because we threw it at Gary a little bit. Marty, the one thing, and again, nobody's bigger fans of MLF than me and Kevin Jenkins sitting here. The complexity and the confusion that it creates if you don't keep up, and I mean really delve into what MLF is really and how it's formatted, you're so lost on what's coming on TV, what's not coming on, how recent is this event, how old is it? I mean, that's the one thing we told Gary, y'all got to clear that up and make it better for 2021.
Yeah, Steve, that's a great point. I'm not disagreeing. When we see these cup events that's filmed in the dark, like this year, I'm looking at my schedule. We've got an August World Championship. That's a dark event. We've got a September Cup event, October Cup event, November. And then we air them 4 to 6 months later. Okay. Mm-hmm. So it's our dark events. It's made for TV. And it is difficult because you're wondering, is it live? Is it not live? And it goes back to just, we're so stinking new. And this is a bad excuse. We're so new in the fact that we made our living with the Cups and the World Championship. That's how we've always done it. And it works. They're fun events. They're great events for our sponsors. They're good events for our anglers. I compare them to the golf majors. Well, how do the guys qualify for the Cups? I could sit there and give you that. And it gets a little complex. Well, what about this stage? And what about that stage? For traditional anglers like you and I and Kevin, at times it can be a little bit confusing. Yeah. But one of our goals was we truly wanted to bring in sports fans, okay, guys that kept up with golf, baseball, football, and basketball. And we want to bring in new fans, a.k.a. Discovery Channel, a.k.a. CBS. So for our fans that are coming to us for the first time ever, and we found as they dive in and do deeper research on us, they kind of get it.
Yeah.
We're always so spoiled that we think, all right, this week we're at Toledo, next week we're at Rayburn, and next week at Guntersville, and then we're at Okeechobee. We want, in the perfect world, the succession.
Right.
And right now we're kind of out of sync, and I don't know the quick fix for that, because here's what we run up against. If us three were running this company, the obvious answer would be this. Guys, we should be at Rayburn, and we should be at Toledo Bend. That should be 2 Bass Pro Tour events. And 2 weeks later, we should be at Conroe doing a cup, and it all should be live, right? That makes sense.
I'm good with it. If you want to go ahead and do that right now, we're in.
We're in for that.
All right. Now, okay. So here's the dilemma we run in business-wise. Okay. So now we got to show up at Conroe in 2 weeks after we did Rayburn. We've got to have 14 wrap Z19s.
Yeah.
We've got to have 30 jerseys built for our anglers that just qualified because they're wearing sponsor jerseys. Our cups is golf versions of majors. So, Kevin, you and I own B&M, and we want to sponsor the cup. One of the reasons we're sponsoring the cup is because we are guaranteed B&M's logo is going to be on the deck of that cup boat, and it's going to be on the logo on every one of our 30 anglers that we're going to sponsor that doesn't have conflicting sponsors.
Right.
So we've got to put all this together right after Toledo Bend, and then get all the assets there to be able to film that event.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I understand that. Does
that kind of make sense to the dilemma that we're under now?
Well, especially from a business standpoint, like Kevin being with V&M, that's a different perception than an angler like me, never thought about.
Yeah, and what we're saying at first, because y'all jumped right in there, because I've said it so many times in meetings, they're ready to throw me out of them. I'm like, guys, this don't make sense. We should be doing 2 Bass Pro Tours, then we should be doing a cup, then we should be doing, and then the higher ups. I'm just a dumb old fisherman. Then they explain to me all the logistics that's involved. We've got to create these jerseys. We've got to create these wraps. We sell the cup events totally different than we do the Bass Pro Tour. The Bass Pro Tour airs on Discovery. It has live components. Mm-hmm. The cups, a lot of them air on the Outdoor Channel, and even some of them air on CBS. They're sold completely different. So the complexities of the 2 different properties, because of the business side, forces us to delay the airing and the filming of these things. So as a fan perspective, it has us out of sorts. Yeah. But on the business side, there's so many moving parts to it, we really don't have a good solution yet.
I think from the audience side, it's going to take a little while. And we've had so many changes in the last few years. It's going to take us a little while to kind of figure this out and get used to it, especially from us tournament anglers' side. But one thing I will give y'all credit for, me and Steve has talked about this on the show several times, is making changes that is best for the program. For example, going to the 2-pound rule. I think that is the best thing y'all could have done.
Oh, amen. Amen.
Kevin, I'm going to take it back a little bit, though. And I'm going to give you a different spin on this. I think the 1-pound thing we did was the best thing we ever did. And here's why I say that.
I can see that, yeah.
Before you shoot me, let me say, we went ahead and checked the box.
Yeah.
Okay? We didn't start with 2 pound and then wondered what 1 pound would look like. And I'm in 100% agreement with you. What we found out was when we allowed these guys practice, 2-day practice basically, or when we allowed them to practice, they got too good. They got too efficient. The 1 pound works perfect for the cup events.
Right.
No information, no practice. We put you in the boat, and I've drawn out the zone where I think we're going to be able to do this. 1 pound works. The 2 pound minimum is by far the best thing that we've ever did, but we wouldn't have known it was the best thing we ever did if we didn't go ahead and try the 1 pound.
That makes sense.
But and like you said, Marty, I'm glad that they did implement the 2 pound, but you wouldn't have known if you hadn't ever had the 1 pound. But the one thing that through some surveys that I've actually done on my other show, and we've actually done, and I've seen some other hosts of other shows have done, y'all were missing the boat because the millennials, and that's an age group I know you want to attract, they didn't want to watch the guys catch 1 pounders. They were turned off by that.
100%. Now on our bass, and again, Steve, to your point, and we didn't know because, as you guys said and we've said, we were so new. When you watch a 1 pound minimum get caught time and time again on live, that gets old. Me and JT, I wish you could have seen some of our behind the scenes last year when we were at some of the places where we got Smith or Table Rock and they're catching 100. We're about ready to fall off the desk going, all right, how much more drama can we build into a 112? I mean, you really tested us to our limits. And then, and you're right, but then on the cup side of this thing, we can edit a lot of that out.
Yeah.
Where I remember they did a cup event in Ardmore, Oklahoma, where Creek got them to go to, and they caught 6 fish for the whole day.
I remember that.
This is going to be awful. They actually edited it to where it was a good show.
Right.
So in our cup events, we can do the 1 pound minimum, we can control it with the editing, we can still create good storylines. But, buddy, you can't hide a tough fisheries or a 1 pound minimum on live and make it exciting.
Right.
You dress up a pig, it's still a pig.
There you go. Marty, we can't say thank you enough, man. I mean, this has been absolutely awesome. We appreciate your insight, your input, the behind-the-scenes stuff, and information that we couldn't have gotten any other way. We appreciate you taking time out of your day to come visit with us and make the world aware of how this thing really works.
Yeah.
Man, guys, look, I appreciate the fact that you guys think enough of what we're doing to ask these questions, because what you guys are asking are what our everyday fans who we gotta have, they're wanting to know. Because Kevin, you said it, we're new.
Yeah.
It's different, and we get that. And there's some method behind the madness. Sometimes you probably don't see that because you're not behind, you or me or others aren't behind the scenes, but there is a little bit of method to the madness in it. Sometimes if we're not doing the obvious, like the cup events, why don't we do them in sequence? There's an answer that most don't know. So for you guys to ask these kind of questions, y'all call me anytime, and don't let this be the last time I'm on this show.
Well, saying that, Marty, I'd love to get you back in the fall here, and let's talk about the Red Crest coming up 2021 in Tulsa.
Yeah, do that. Hey, remind me too. I got a good Zell rolling story to say. Since Gary threw him under the bus, I need to put mine in there too.
Well, one thing Gary said that really got my attention when he talked about MLF, it's a work in progress, and that's exactly what is going on here. It's a work in progress.
You know, we're 18 months old.
Yeah.
Okay. What we did before that, I mean, it was a TV show. We had ownership in it. We had a small group. It was a controlled environment. Guys, I'm telling you, back in October when all those anglers made their announcement, I knew this day was coming. And I had a job. I had a really good job. And as a financial advisor at Morgan Stanley, I'm like, guys, this thing's going to get bigger than me. I wish y'all the best. Good luck. And I'm sitting there and I'm watching as these anglers make the decision, and I was blown away by how many we got.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my, this is not only, now it's real. When we started in October, not last October, the October before that, guys, when we started then, we were a notepad.
Yeah.
That's all we were.
Yeah.
We're literally a notepad. So when you're that young and you're this young, we're going to make some mistakes. And I tell this all the time in our directors and managers meeting, guys, we've made some mistakes, and we're going to keep making some mistakes, but it's going to be because of effort. But we've also got a few things right.
Yeah, I agree.
And we adjust on the dime. And we try our best that whenever we make decisions, it's angler driven, it's angler led, it's what's best for the anglers, it's what's best for the fans, and it's what's best for the sponsors.
Yep. Amen. Thank you, Marty. We appreciate you, buddy.
Marty, thanks for coming on. We appreciate it.
Yeah, we will
Thanks, guys. Y'all have a great day. Look forward to doing this again sometime in the near future.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
There you heard, folks. There it was. Marty Stone, direct from MLF, and as a co-host and as a analyst for Major League Fishing. I mean, Kevin, we couldn't have asked for it to go any better than that.
No, we really couldn't. I mean, he answered every question we had, and every question and they had considered, they have thought out, and I was really shocked, Steve, that he told me this is something these guys are going to have the option to do down the road. So he's saying 100% next year, 2021. Most likely, the Bass Pro Tour guys are going to have the option to fish FLW.
There's going to be a super tournament series, it sounds like.
Yeah, absolutely. So some great info there from Marty Stone. He does a great job for MLF, and we sure appreciate him being on the show today. Absolutely.
Real quick, where do we want to go from here? We want to go down to the Bassmaster Elite Series.
The Elite Series released their schedule this past week as well. Some big names on the lake, some names that got left off that was on Sabine River, as we talked about last week, was supposed to be, they were trying to get it worked out in November. They were not able to get that event worked out, so Sabine River is left off the list.
But one that was postponed, the very first one, they've actually got a date now set for Lake Eufaula, Alabama, June 10th and 13th.
Yeah. Then July 14th through the 17th in Cayuga Lake in New York.
And then July 23rd, 26th, Bassmaster Elite Series at St. Lawrence River in Waddington. That is a really good event.
That will be a slugfest.
Yes, and it always is. Just a great place to go fish, the St. Lawrence River.
Then July 30th through August 2nd is Lake Champlain in New York.
And then August 20th and 23rd, Lake St. Clair, Macomb County, Michigan.
Another whack fest. Then October 8th through the 11th, Santee Cooper Lakes in South Carolina. I don't know what that's going to be like in the fall. That might be interesting there.
And that's going to be interesting for the whole year. You know, how some of these anglers are going to handle fall fishing. Because a lot of them haven't been doing a lot of fall fishing. A lot of them are in deer stands in the fall. So October 16th to 19th, again, a lake that I'm hoping one day, if I can qualify for ABA, the 2021 championship is at Chickamauga. And this October 16th, 9th is at Chickamauga in Dayton, Tennessee. And if you notice, they started out up north and working their way south in order to avoid that wintertime atmosphere.
Then they finish up November 5th through the 8th at Texas Fest. It'll be in Lake Fort, which I'm hearing by a lot of the pros there that's going to be a tough event.
Yeah, it could be a tough event. Central Division Bassmaster Open, Arkansas River, June 18th through the 20th at Muskogee, Oklahoma. That's a regular on that tour. They pretty much go there a lot.
Then September 10th through the 12th at Sam Rayburn. That could be good or bad. September is kind of hit or miss on Sam Rayburn. It could be really, really good, and it could be kind of tough, kind of depending on where the lake's at that point.
September's tough on a lot of lakes.
Yeah,
it's not
absolutely.
a great month for fishing. October 22nd to the 24th, Neely Henry and Gadsden, Alabama. So,
and then they finish off the Central Opens at November 19th through the 21st at Louisville Lake.
Now, have you been there?
Louisville, the College National Championship.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Several years ago, and it was in the fall, but, I mean, that's been 12, 15 years, Steve.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
You've aged a little bit
I have.
All right, Sealy Big Bass Splash on Lake Gunnersville is coming up June 12th, 13th, and 14th. That's been rescheduled for this date, and congratulations to Bob Sealy and thank Bob Sealy. If you see him, thank him because he could have canceled this whole thing and said, I'll see y'all next year, but not Bob. He's going to make sure that you guys get an opportunity to fish.
And the one event we missed last weekend, we was talking about the new dates. The BFL Cowboy Division rescheduled the Lake of the Pines event to June 13th.
Right.
And they're coming back with their super tournament on Sam Rayburn at September 26th and 27th.
Yep, and in the Southeast Texas Division, ABA Open Series, Bass Pro Shop Open Series, June 20th is the regular scheduled event for event number, which would have been event number 3. And event number 2, which is a makeup, will be the following day on the 21st. So 2 back-to-back tournament dates, 20th and 21st for ABA Open Series Southeast Texas. Bob Sandlin will take place on June the 13th at Lake of the Pines, July 18th. And then the 2-day championship for the ABA Open Series, 12th and 13th at Lake Texoma, which is combining Southeast Texas and East Texas divisions. So, hey, lot going on. A lot of guys. Going to be a lot of summertime fishing, Kevin. Going to be hot. Take care of yourself.
Take care of your fish.
Take care of your fish. And speaking of taking care of your fish, if you're not using fish care products, Kevin and I highly recommend them. We're both using them now. It's a great. They got live well cleaner. They got
first aid. They got the clips. They got the fizzing needles. They've got it. Look them up.
Yeah, they got a little kit right there in front of Kevin. It
right
comes
here.
all in one little kit, and it's just a neat deal.
It really is. Really is. Steve, I sure appreciate Marty today. I mean, he really gave us some insight on the Major League Fishing and why they're why are they doing this?
Yeah.
Really gave us some really good insight on why and what they're seeing, what they're wanting their anglers to do. I do appreciate. I'm like you though. Things are still very confusing.
Yeah.
On everything they've got going on, their anglers are everywhere. They've got
a lot going on.
It is a lot of info.
It's a lot to take in.
I can appreciate what they're trying to do.
Yeah,
I can.
do too. I do too.
I do miss the days when it was simple to follow.
Yeah.
I do miss that. But as he said, they are still new and trying to get this thing going. So we wish them the best. And having 2 anglers on my pro staff that fish, I hope it does work out.
Yeah.
And I do appreciate, hey, they're not gonna be able to get all the MLF Bass Pro Tour events in, so it gives my guys an opportunity to still go get exposure for their sponsors.
And it's just like anything else, Kevin. Money drives everything.
Yes.
And this is a golden opportunity, as Marty said. The FLW guys are excited about having some of these guys come over, bring you money with you. Put your money up, and they're fishing for more money than they would have. And a guy like Nick LeBrun, who we're good friends with and know personally, what a great opportunity for a guy like him and all these young anglers that are coming up, trying to make a name for themselves.
We all know we're going to be watching that live. We can all say, that's not a good one. You finally got the right 80 guys back to a 5-fish format on these bodies of water. We're all going to be tuned in on live.
Exactly
There's
right.
no doubt about that.
Real quick, again, we want to thank Raymond Kidd and the Boat Shop for all his service work that he does. Takes great pride in everything they do up there. If you got electronics, trolling motor issues, Yamaha show issues, any Yamaha motor, he can fix your problem. Just a great guy and does a wonderful job.
And also, we want to send our thoughts and prayers out to the Rollo family.
Yes.
Jeff and Sonia Rollo, Wes Rollo from right here in Natchez, Louisiana, who was a great fisherman, a great young man who we know listened to the show. We know Jeff listens to the show.
Yep.
He passed away last week.
Way too early.
Thoughts and prayers going out to that family. That is something I can't even fathom having to go through. But I do. There's a lot being able to support that family.
Right.
They've got a lot of things. They've already made a scholarship for Wes at Northwest State Fishing Team. You can check out the V&M Baits social media. We're doing a Fishing for Wes hat that all proceeds go to the Northwest State Fishing Team in honor of Wes. So if you're able to if you have an opportunity to try to check some of those out and make sure to give to that family in this time of need.
Yeah, Jeff, Sonia, we love you. We're thinking about you, and you're in our thoughts and prayers. And all right. Also, coming up next is a Tackle Talk tip of the week. And remember, if you want to continue to be a better angler, you've got to watch Tackle Talk Live. Here's this week's Tackle Talk Live tip of the week. Today we're going to talk treble hooks. That's right. A lot of times your standard crankbaits right out of the package, and today most companies put pretty good hooks on their crankbaits now, but some still put the cheaper hooks on. I always like to change those out. And when I do change them out, I'll go with the Gamakatsu Treble S series of hooks. They come in 2, 4, or 6, whatever size you need. They also come in different colors. They also have a red. I like to put a red hook a lot of times on the very front of a crankbait, and to help attract those fish, give them a spot to target. And so make sure you check your treble hooks. If you fish them a lot during the day and you're fishing over rocks or rocky points or running into timber and snagging them, you might want to change out your trebles at the end of the day. So make sure that all your crankbaits, as well as your top water, have a good set of treble hooks on them. and make sure you get the Gamakatsu brand. They are the best. That's this week's Tackle Talk Live Tip of the Week.